How we doing, everybody? Sam here, United People's TV. It's the United People's podcast. It's me, it's Dan, it's Nick. I'll tell you what, after the Everton game last week, to come here this week, I'll tell you what, it was a tough game against Crystal Palace. It was a game of two halves, and so far this season, United have been winning the first halves and losing the second halves. Complete opposite of Crystal Palace. We'll speak about Zirkzee's performance, standout moments, Amorim's reaction. We'll speak about the West Ham game, the Prem this weekend. Nick, Spurs losing again. You just mentioned it before we went live.
Yeah. Spurs losing again at home. We take those.
Like Thomas Frank, first 4 weeks of the season was like flavour of the month, and that now is like basically in civil war with Spurs fans, saying like, "Oh, don't boo your players." It was a bit wanky from Spurs fans to do that, but as it stands, coming into this pod and having a conversation, we are 7th in the table, 4 points off second. Chelsea and Arsenal both dropping points this weekend. Spurs obviously losing. Anyone else drop points?
Sadly not. Liverpool won, Newcastle won, and those are kind of the teams we need to worry about. Brighton won, but I hope by the end of the season we're not having to worry about Brighton.
Well, let's speak about the game against Palace, right? Dan, it was our first win there in 5 years, I think it was. And mate, the feeling in my gut at half time, I tell you what, man, it really felt like last season at half time for me. Like we were matched up with Glasner's system, man for man, and every man was just getting beaten by Palace. Like Mateta, like Delic was trying to be physical with Mateta, but he just had his number. What the fuck was said at half time? Like, was it the fact that Palace did play midweek? Do you think that actually came in to actually affect the game in the second half? Like, what changed?
I think it did, because I look at Crystal Palace's players' levels, especially stamina levels, and I could tell it was starting to fade a little bit towards the back end of the first half, and then into the second half I could tell again. I'm not too sure, and maybe you two can count me out on this, if there was any tactical tweaks made by Amorim that were obvious, but from what I saw, it was more of we just were moving the ball a lot more quicker, and there was a lack of urgency in the first half. And in the second half, we were a lot more better, a lot more better on the ball. The intensity was higher as well, which helped. And it was just like a button, someone just switched us on all of a sudden. It was a bit crazy.
I don't correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, because you're probably the most tactically minded of the three of us. If anybody spotted something, you did. But I don't think much switched in the second half. Obviously, like set pieces this season, we'll speak about that in a little bit. As crap as we are from open play right now, it's a good fucking weapon to have in your drawer to be as consistently as much of a threat from a set piece as United are. Because in games like this, like without Šeško and without Cunha, our attack is very much looking like last season. We're not creating much. And Bumo, I'll speak about him a little bit later. Kind of getting I'm not frustrated at his performances. I'm frustrated that we're not getting him in the right bloody position with the ball. It felt like we've done that in his last couple of games. Like, did anything switch in that second half, Nick?
From a tactical point of view, the only thing I could see was Xerxy running the channels a little bit more. Not running the channels as such, but just sort of getting out wide a little bit more, just to stretch their centre backs a tiny bit. But I wouldn't say it was anything too different to what we saw in the first half. And to be honest with you, I don't actually think that before Xerxes' goal, I don't think we were really that much better or different to the first half. It felt like it took that first goal for us to then spark into action. And you mentioned the set pieces there. That's become really, really important for us. I was just speaking to Dan before we started recording. We've now got 10 set piece goals, the same as Arsenal. And obviously we know how good they've become at putting away set pieces. So that's an impressive stat to have, and it's a really important tool for us to have in this moment in time, because we do lack that sort of creative spark going forward at times. Now, especially with Cunha, Šeško being out and Bumo Ahmad going AFCON, we're going to need to rely on set pieces a bit more going forward as well.
Zirkzee was obviously a big talking point from that game. Everton, I was frustrated. It felt like Zirkzee of last season. It felt like when he'd knocking the ball long, and it was the fact, I think, that you got to watch Mateta, and every time the ball went up to him, and it stuck with him, and they managed to bring the ball forward. Like Dean Henderson just lobbed it long, or just booted it long, and then Mateta made something of it. Xerxes struggled in that first half, and then scores from the most acute of angles, and he had absolutely no right to finish that. Like, Dan, what did you make of Xerxes', I suppose, second half performance? Because Amorim pulled it out for praise, said that United, yeah, as a team played better, but Xerxes played better, and therefore the whole team was a consequence, sort of. I'm not saying they followed suit. I'm not saying that he's saying that Xerxes was the reason we played better in the second half, but he certainly singled him out for praise, and I think he deserves it.
Yeah, he led the line well. I'm thinking about the runs, obviously, that you and Nick have just mentioned then. That just starts, he starts the press, so he leads the line, so everyone follows him, you're right. And all of the hard work that he's done off the pitch, all of the training, all the hard hours that have gone into him coming and being a starter. I know Seshko's injured, but coming into the team, sorry. That shows in that second half performance how much grit and how hard he's had to work, because that Zirkzee is completely different to the one that we saw last season. So I'm really impressed with him in that second half, but it's the same with the team. Consistency is so important. And if he's not coming in and playing every single game when Seshko's back, that's going to be hard for him. But it's how Amorim and himself manages that.
Like you mentioned it there, and I definitely noticed it. Like United's press in that second half as well. Like it wasn't like we were chasing every single ball down, but we looked a lot more calculated, Nick, with when we decided to go on the front foot. Like Mount obviously works in that system. You know, that's the first time that Mount's completed 90 minutes for United in a Premier League game. Like that's mad.
Wow.
That is mental. Fair play to him, smart goal. But yeah, just everything just. Is it just the fact that we got the first goal and there's less pressure on the players? I feel like fuck knows, if I'm being completely honest, because I don't think it was a tactical switch. It really did just feel like a light switch being turned on or off by that Xerxes goal.
Yeah, it was just a momentum switch in our favour, yes, but also in against the favour of Crystal Palace. I just felt like they were just dropped off a little bit, and just some of those passes that were being zipped into Mateta in the first half just weren't getting through in the same way. The long balls, De Ligt was dealing with them a little bit better than he was before. Luke Shaw made a few really, really important interceptions in that second half as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's a really, really weird game to try and analyse and sort of take learnings from. But the biggest thing I will say for Amorim especially is that it would have been such a stick to beat him with if we had lost this game against a manager who plays the same system as Ruben Amorim, and everyone praises him for doing it better than Ruben Amorim. So the win in itself against another manager who also plays a back three system, that in itself is huge for Amorim, because I feel like I constantly hear how good Glasner's system is, and I've said this before. I don't think he and Palace are as good as people make out. So huge win for Amorim on that front. But yeah, not too much changed really. It was just a momentum shift, I think. Anyway,
Like if I was looking at the first half and you're sort of like picking out the problems, it's not exactly hard because everything was a problem. It felt like United were almost trying to kind of bypass the midfield. Every time we've seen this repeated pattern so often, man. It goes to De Ligt and then to Yoro, and then it goes out towards Delo, and then it comes back, and then there isn't really a ball inside. Whereas you look to Adam Wharton, and we're being obviously focused on Baleba, Wharton, and Anderson in the 3 times that we played them, all those 3 respective clubs. Adam Wharton was really controlling that midfield, sort of give me the ball, always just jogging into a little position, always finding space. His ball through to Mateta that led to the penalty was just one of those really crisp midfield balls. It wasn't hit with it like viciously, but it was just like it was meant. He knew exactly where he wanted it to go, and it was perfectly into the path of him. I think he actually played well. If that was an audition, I don't think Wharton needed an audition, if I'm honest. Like I mentioned his name there. Like, what's your lads' take on Yoro so far this season? Because he looked pretty downbeat on the bench when he got correctly subbed, by the way, for Mazraoui. It wasn't as if he was hooked, but he just wasn't having a good game. It was a clumsy tackle. And it feels kind of a little bit that Yoro's been a bit clumsy this season, Dan? Like, is that a fair way to describe him?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not too sure what it's down to, because last season I thought he was obviously one of United's better players. So I don't know what's come into his game this season that's made him put out, not performances, but like little errors and that have come into his game. So I'm not too sure what it's quite down to. We mustn't forget, like, he is still young, and it's going to take a lot of time for him to nurture and become into the centre back that we know he can be. So I know everyone's going to give him time, and that's fair enough. But it is, your heart does feel for him, especially when you're watching him on telly and he's given away the penalty. Probably thinks that he's lost the game for United because Palace have another opportunity, I think, fairly 5 minutes on after they score. He's a great talent, and he might make a couple of mistakes here and there, but I think that's going to happen at his age.
Yeah. What I'll say on that as well quickly is, like, it's really tough to be like a good Premier League centre back. It's even tougher when you're 20 years old. And in this particular game, especially in that first half, they just felt like, because when Palace do progress the ball, they either go really, really wide with Mitchell and Munoz, or they go sort of super central. And I just felt like Mateta had the battle with Delict, but there was a few times where he was lingering on Euro's side. And I just felt like, he just got caught out a few times by a really, really good centre forward. But that sort of, those kind of mistakes, they're going to come into his game a little bit because he's 20 years old. So a good change from Amorim to bring Mazraoui on, because also Mazraoui, I think, gives us more on the ball than Euro does. So that was a good change. And I'd like to see Mazraoui start a few more games playing that right-sided centre-back. We shouldn't forget how good he was last season. So I would like to see a little bit more rotation between those two.
And like, if we're being honest, like what's your take on how United played from a wing-back perspective in that game? There was some comments from Amorim going into it, which I think may have been slightly lost in translation. He was talking about Dorgu, saying he's not playing like he's not the best wing back, but I think what he means is not playing their best. I don't know whether that might have been slightly lost in translation because people were trying to effectively say that Amorim was completely throwing Dorgu under the bus, saying he's not the best wing backs, but we'll do what we've got to do. Delo, unspectacular. I think that's kind of what Delo is as a footballer, and that's not a slight against him. It's just, even when he's good, he's not particularly spectacular. He's just a bit of a middler, really. As I said, I was getting frustrated with. I think we used it a lot better in the second half. Maybe it was the fact that we were getting the ball out quicker towards Ahmad and Mbeumo. But what's your take on? I'm not saying that the fact that Mbeumo hasn't scored in these last couple of games, but it feels like with Šeško out and with Zirkzee playing through the middle, I don't know. Maybe it's because he switched Ahmad to one of the number 10s against Everton, and therefore he didn't have that link up down that right-hand side. But we're infinitely better. I say infinitely. We still weren't that much of a threat from open play today, to be completely honest. Like, what's your take, Nick, on sort of Mbeumo's runs, his positions? I'm not looking into it. I'm not looking for problems, but Mbeumo, we're not getting as much threat out of Mbeumo in these last few games as we were before. Have we switched something?
Tough to say. I mean, one thing I will say is we haven't seen the Ahmad and Mbeumo link-ups like we had gotten used to seeing in the games before the last few. Is that because we're not as much of a threat on the left-hand side? I do definitely feel like teams are now recognizing that if you kind of stop our right side, our left side can't produce as much. And so maybe their press is sort of designed to push us to go down the left, because the amount of times it goes down the left down to Dalot, and Dalot he's not a left wing back ultimately, so he's not going to be able to put it on his left and put a good cross in. So the likelihood is he's going to come back inside, give it to Mount, give it to Bruno, and go from there. But yeah, and Mbeumo, I don't know. I mean, like, there was a few occasions today where he was really, really central, and I don't think that's where you're going to see the best from him. I think you do ideally need him high and wide, him and Ahmad both, and they can't both occupy the same position. So naturally, Mbeumo is going to be the one that's going to tuck in. I did actually have a think about this the other day, where I actually thought, is there a world where actually Ahmad is the 10 and Mbeumo is the right wing back? Like, there was a few moments against Everton where Ahmad just picked up the ball in that left hand role and just sort of went on a bit of a marauding run and got a shot off. And that just made me think, what if, I don't know, like, maybe I'm wrong on this, but what if you switch those two around and you get a bit of joy that way? Because I think Ahmad's the one who's better in tight spaces.
There was a point in that second half, I can't remember when it was, but Mbeumo was effectively playing that right wing back spot. And I think he dropped deep, linked up, one-touch pass, and then he ran from the halfway line, and then Ahmed was much wider. As the actually no, was he wider? I don't know, but I remember seeing Mbumo deeper. I was like, what's he doing that deep, man? But he was carrying it from deep because we weren't really able to bring the ball forward any other way. I think we have missed Cunha in that sense. Fingers crossed he'll be ready for West Ham. We have missed Šeško in his presence for sure. Zirkzee, that goal will make a big. It should make a big difference for him. We don't know that because it's just this United team. Like Amorim, do I think he got anything spectacularly right against Crystal Palace or spectacularly wrong? Not really. I don't think there was much of a difference in the setup than what you saw against Everton. The first half played out exactly like it did against Everton. And just, it gets boring to keep repeating it, Dan and Nick, but I'm sure you both agree on this. It's like, if you don't have the physicality, you haven't got a fucking chance in the Prem. And Palace had it in the first half. They got a bit shagged in the second half. We turned it up a notch. Everything else was easier. And I don't know why it wasn't there against Everton. Like, I really, really don't know. Like, I can't explain that. The first half, the way that game was going, it felt like it was going to be awful, if I'm being completely honest. Like, the same as last season, no response from Everton. And credit to the lads. They turned it around. Tough game. They hadn't conceded at home in, they had the second best defensive record behind Arsenal in the league. They were 12 undefeated, I think, at home in the Premier League. And we haven't won there in 5 years. Even in good form, Crystal Palace away is a hard game for United. So that was a big win today. Can we continue it? I mean, no, is what United typically will tell you. They won't. Like, West Ham against Liverpool, like, Paqueta's got himself a red card. Stupid twat. I don't know what he's doing there.
I actually haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. No, what did he do?
He got a yellow, and he's just up in the face of the ref. He's like, of course you're going to get red.
But at least that's one less thing to worry about on Thursday.
We were looking at these fixtures, right, as opportunities. Everton was a massive. It wasn't even a stumble. That was just like getting sucked into a black hole. We've come out of it with Crystal Palace. We've now got West Ham at home on Thursday. Then we play Wolves. How have they been getting on, by the way, under Rob Edwards? I haven't actually looked at their results. Anyone know?
They've not moved off 2 points either, so.
I mean, they lost today against Villa, 1-0.
Right, good. So, at least they're not getting that sweet new manager bounce. We like that. But, of course, when United comes to town, it will be their cup final. You see Everton reverting to character after their cup final against us. Got absolute... Pickford decided to pull out the world's most top-level save against us and then just straight through his legs. Yeah, well done. Twats.
Which is, you know what, as well, today's win, in a way, makes the Everton result even more frustrating because it's like, if you'd just done the job that you were supposed to do, the job that we thought you'd do, we'd now be sitting third or fourth. Like, I think we'd be ahead of Chelsea now. And that's the frustrating part.
It's frustrating, but I don't know whether I'm just like, you get recency bias and all that jazz, but like, it's such an open Premier League this season, man. There is drop points every week from probably one, if not two teams above us. Someone's going to fuck up somewhere. Like, a lot of times it's United. But it's 7 points, I think, Dan, you said, between like 15th and 2nd. Like, is something like that?
8 points, yeah, I think it's 8 points, yeah.
8 points. But it is a close table. There's not any runaways yet. All you got to do is just string, easier said than done, right? String a few wins together. You know, someone I want to speak about for a few minutes here, and then you all know what I think about Luke Shaw as a United player. But to his credit, he started every Prem game so far this season, and he was pretty damn good against Palace. Like, there was a couple of recovery tackles where he didn't really have any right to get there. He reached it, did well, and also looked good going forward. And matching that, like, we speak about solutions to wing backs. Of course, signing new wing backs. Yeah, great. Brilliant. But Lisandro Martinez came back off the bench. He made his first appearance in over 300 days for the club. Left centre-back, replaced Luke Shaw. Like, Nick, do you think there is a chance that we see the way that Luke Shaw, fitness-wise, right now, looks like he could certainly do something at left wing-back with Lisandro Martinez at left centre-back? Now, that to me feels and sounds like something that Amorim's got to try, because it's just been probably the biggest weakness I think we've had all season is that left-hand side.
Just do it. Amorim, please, please, just do it, please. I mean, like the the season where there was one season where Rashford really, really struggled. Right after when he got the 30 goal season, when he had the really good season, and I said a large part of that was that he completely missed Luke Shaw. The season where he was on form, he had a fit and firing Luke Shaw, constantly overlapping him, giving him option. So Luke Shaw is able to do that role now. Can he stay fit? That's the question. Although it is a World Cup year, so he'll magically find a way to stay fit because he seems to do that for England. Yeah, loves doing that one. But Luke Shaw gives us a level of technical quality that we simply don't have at left wing back. Dorgu, I like that he's quite tenacious, physically capable, will run onto everything, but technically really limited. Dallo, simply not a left wing back. Luke Shaw is someone who can put good balls into the cross. He can make good overlapping runs. He can give us an actual attacking outlet on that left-hand side in a way which, in terms of holding the width and giving us quality out wide, we actually really haven't had that under Amorim, really. Like, no one's really done that at a good level for us yet. So he's got to give it a go. And especially so when AFCON comes around, you're probably going to see some games where Dallo goes right wing back. So why not give it a go? I would like to see it. And big one on Leacher coming back as well. It's funny that he actually got injured against Palace, and this is the game he comes back into. I think if he can stay fit, he'll be a really, really important player for us going forward.
There is no defender like him in our team in terms of those balls, in terms of like we suck balls at central progression still. Like it's so painful, man. Like every game, like Casemiro and Bruno, Casemiro should have scored, by the way, after like 45 seconds. Don't know how that didn't go in. But it kind of feels like United bypassed the midfield. Like we can't play through it. There is no Wharton who's come in there and just getting that love. The ones I really love from Wharton were the little first time just round the corners, just to keep the ball moving. Like there's someone on his shoulder, and then just takes the pressure away.
Sorry, one thing I will say on that as well is like Wharton is also able to do it because a Mateta or a Sarr can make it stick in those central areas. We haven't quite got that yet. Sesko can do it a little bit, but yeah, we haven't got that to the same level that Palace have.
But it's not in Bruno's game and it's not in Casemiro's game. If Casemiro does that, he does those like big whipped ones that are like 30, 40 yards trying to get in behind. They sometimes work, but it's kind of like a Hail Mary pass. He knows that someone might make that run. So because we just bypass that midfield, there's no central progression. So going back to what I'm saying about Martinez, it could make a real difference. I can't remember what game it was. It was at Old Trafford. Somebody tried that pass. I think it was into Cunha. And I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting it to go wide to Dalot. So it must have been, who was playing left centre-back? It must have been Luke Shaw, I'm guessing. And it just went through to Cunha, who just bounced it back to Bruno, who then brought it forward. And I was like, oh, that was unexpected. And it just made a nice little difference. So, like, West Ham, right? So they lost against Liverpool. And they didn't exactly look... Well, they're West Ham. Like, they don't have Paqueta. You know, Bowen's going to be their danger man. You know, Wan-Bissaka's probably going to have a half-decent game. But United, we've got to win, right? Am I looking at that wrong? Is this where complacency creeps in?
Up to said now, we've got the easiest run of games in the next 5. It's quite funny that we lost against Everton.
Yeah, they said that, including Everton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but taking this result and going into that West Ham game, I think they're sitting 17th on 11 points, verge of the relegation zone. 2 wins in the last 5. We've not had a good record against West Ham in our last 5, actually. 1-1. So,
Cheers, Dan. Fuck's sake, mate.
but that's what I said about Crystal Palace, and look what happened. So
there's nothing more to say. There's nothing really too much to preview against West Ham. There's not going to be a spectacularly different setup. There's not going to be a special plan for West Ham. It's just do your fucking job. Just it's as simple as that. Like the Roy Keane team talk is kind of what it needs to be. Because whatever was said at halftime worked. As I said, it felt like United took advantage of the fact that Palace did play on Thursday night, and we did improve as the second half went on, which is not something that we've done much this season. We typically start fast and go down as the game goes on. But actually, apart from that free kick towards the end against Crystal Palace, even though we only had a 1-goal lead, I wasn't like crapping myself in the same sort of way I have been watching, Spurs or Forest. It felt a little bit more measured. Nick, was that fair?
Yeah, we stopped Palace creating chances in that second half. They didn't have a single shot on target in that second half. So you're right. I didn't feel as on edge. It wasn't quite a 2-0 up against Sunderland at home. Not quite to that level of comfort, but I didn't really feel threatened in that second half. Yeah, you're right. Like I said, they didn't have a shot on target. The free kick right at the end was like, oh mate, and they had the youngster Devaney on it, and I was like, oh, this smells trouble a little bit. But good to see the Wall doing their job there. But yeah, no, the second half, yeah, it was comfy. But thinking ahead to West Ham, just looking at their lineup from today, right? I'm looking at their midfield. They've got a Mateus Fernandez, Potts, Magassar, if I'm pronouncing that right, and now Paqueta's going to be injured again. Not injured as well, sorry. He's going to be not available for that game. Point being is that's 4 positions there where not a great deal of quality, not a great deal of experience. Please, United, make use of that. Bring Mounts into central areas, bring Mbomo into central areas, and hurt them there, because that's somewhere where I think they can be got at. But West Ham, yeah, I mean, you stop Bowen. Juve on the other side is a threat. He's left back, but he gets forward a lot. So I know we said this against Everton, but this is a go on, lads. Just please get it done, and get it done well.
I'd say this one feels even more so than Everton, if I'm being completely honest, because Everton had Grealish, they had Ndiaye. I knew the threat that they were going to have, and I'd say they probably had more quality than West Ham do. And then you take Paqueta out. As far as I'm concerned, it's Paqueta and Bowen are the two like centerpieces of their team going forward, right? So you've taken one out. It's going to be kind of get the ball to Bowen and hope that he does a madness. Presumably, I don't know how they're going to play. I need to look into that. But like, I'll come to you first, Dan. Prediction wise, is it going to be? Is it?
Yeah, it's going to be 3-0.
Yeah,
I don't see us losing this one, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I've just mentioned then where they sit in the league, who they've faced. They've obviously played Liverpool. We're better than Liverpool at the moment, quite clearly. So I reckon, yeah, 3-0 is probably a fair shout. I don't think they're going to score.
He's coming in, dick swinging. He's looking at to beat Crystal Palace. Oh, Nick, you backing it up?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm just looking at their results now. They did have actually a good upturn of results. The last 4, so it was 3-1 against Newcastle, 3-2 against Burnley, 2-2 Bournemouth, and now the Liverpool defeat. So I guess you could say at least that Liverpool defeat has come at a good time for us. I guess you don't want them off the back of 4 undefeated, I guess. But yeah, I just like, I can't see how we don't win this one. And I know we said this against Everton, but yeah, I can't see how we don't win this one. I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0? Do we keep a clean sheet? Let's go 3-1. Why not?
3-1. That's my favourite. That's my favourite prediction, that one. Look, I think West Ham have been better under Nuno than they were under Potter, which I don't think is particularly difficult. Like, they were just like a lost cause at that point in time. But I still can't trust United. Like, Amorim's going to go in with the same sort of pep talk and the same sort of conversation that you would have had for Everton. Like, lads, opportunities here. We even had more of an opportunity because it was actually, we might have the same opportunity because I think everybody plays on Wednesday, apart from us who play on Thursday.
Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday, yeah.
So same concept as we played Everton on a Monday night after the weekend. There might be some more drop points around us going into it. It might be another opportunity to do that. So the conversation might be the exact same. And if the players do what they did against Everton, against West Ham, mate, it's going to be a riot in Old Trafford, man. It's going to be nasty. I don't think they will, but I didn't think they would do it against Everton. I'm going to go for a 2-1 nitty win, but a win. Like, I can't go 3-0. I wish I could. I really wish I could. We should have enough. I think Cunha being back, if he is back, will make a nice difference because, like, Shea was on the base. Like, Shea Lacey was on the bench. If you don't know, 18-year-old lad from the academy. He was the only attacking sub. We have 5 defenders on the bench against Crystal Palace. We didn't really have much that we could switch. We didn't need it ultimately because Xerxy did the business, but we're lacking a little bit going forward. Keep the set piece threat up. West Ham, I suppose, will be pretty good at defending those. I don't know their set piece levels, but they got a pretty big team.
They're okay. Nah, yeah, I don't think they're especially good at it. They're just okay. Yeah.
United, just keep up the set piece threat, man. Like, it doesn't matter how shit you are. That's one thing I always find hilarious. Like, all these different styles of football that have happened over these years, and you talk tiki-taka and high pressing and all this stuff, and then a free kick in a corner instead of fucking free kick in a corner. Like, the wall is still the same. Everyone stands there, and if you just get the delivery bang on, you get threat, you get goals. And at times when United don't have enough quality from open play, which is exactly what we've got right now, you need that in your back pocket, and it makes a difference. It's made a difference so far. It might be the difference again against West Ham. And if we win, I don't care how they go in. I'll be completely honest right now.
You hear what Amorim said as well in his press conference, where he said we're stealing. What do you say? Like something along the lines of like stealing ideas for set pieces from other teams. So he's basically asked about like is set pieces. If you've got 10 goals now, is that something specifically you've worked on? He said, yeah, etc., etc. We always work on it, but we've also been learning while in the Premier League, and we're stealing things from other teams. I like that. That shows growth and learning from other teams. You take that. Yeah, it's good.
I think is it Carlos Fernandez, I think the assistant manager. I think he's in charge of set pieces. Because we had, was it Andreas Georgeson that was brought in on Ten Hag? That was the one from like Brentford or something. And then he got swiftly booted because we weren't exactly improving on set pieces. But something's changed this season. And if you're looking at the ones that we scored against Palace, it was just smart play from Bruno. For the Zirkzee one, spotted it early. Second one, just laying it out for Mount. Crap wall. Really happy that Dean Henderson fucking conceded too, the little whopper.
The Mount one was actually really, really clever, especially because the way they kind of set it up was like Bruno was right on the ball. Mason Mount was a few steps behind. Mount almost stepped forward as if he was almost walking away from it. So I think the wall were anticipating Bruno to take a few steps back and then take his shot. But obviously he doesn't. Because Mount stepped forward a little bit, Bruno just nudges it to him and he puts it under the wall. That was really clever from both of them. Obviously it was rehearsed or, spoken about before, but I liked that from both of them. Really clever.
2 more of them against West Ham, yes, please. I will take that. But look, United winning, hey, it's a nicer pod. It's a nicer conversation. All right, we'll take that. I think we're 4 points off second now. It's just, this is the way that the Premier League is this season. It's going to be big swings every week, and we kind of know it until you really put together 4-5 wins in a row, and that's where you start creating gaps. 1 here. Let's go West Ham. Then we've got Wolves next. There won't be a pod, by the way, this midweek because, we play West Ham on Thursday. So we'll probably come back after the Wolves game and we'll do a bumper pod after we've just won 2 and then we're here of 3 wins in a row. You know what I mean? Come on. Speak it into existence. But if you enjoyed it, please do leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening to it. And we'll see you in the next one.